and I'm cutting your hopes. I'm going all in for the drill I hold. If you take me out, I'll kick your ass unless you're taller than me, though. But then there are those that don't work on the stuff. Only the fame, not the loyalty or love. Daddy put up the cash, better hurry up and make the cut. And that's a short story too, I don't give a cause chili bowl coming, chili bowl coming, chili bowl, chili bowl, chili bowl coming. I got that east side with me, and I don't give a. I got that west side with me, and I don't give a cause chili bowl coming, chili bowl coming, chili bowl, chili bowl, chili bowl coming. I got that north side with me, and I don't give a. I got that south side in me, and I don't give a. Are you ready? Let's go. I don't give a. Cause chili bowl coming, chili bowl coming, chili bowl, chili bowl, chili bowl coming. I got that north side with me, and I don't give a. I got that south side in me, and I don't give a. Yeah, the chili bowl is coming, and you see you can't ignore it. Yeah, attention's on the track, cause the action isn't boring. This is actually the best, not cup breaks that make you snore. And their best attempt to wake you is with a Bubba Wallace story. See, I'm rolling it high, rolling it low, rolling the card, that's where it goes. Go for the pack, give us a last, go for the pass, and I'm chopping your nose, and I'm chopping it low, and I'm cutting your hopes. I'm going all in for the drill I hold. If you take me out, I'll kick your ass unless you're taller than me, though. But then there are those that don't work on the stuff, only there for fame, not the loyal. What's going on there? What's going on there, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, God, we already got people asking, have you raced the chili bowl? Why does that even matter? I do not know. Well, actually, everybody wants to see me race it. I don't know why. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, it is a glorious day, of course, today, first day of the Tulsa Shootout. We got other stuff going on, too. And honestly, this talk we're about to have is one that I wanted, but wanted to get to know this guy a little bit and also, you know, talk about some stuff, obviously. And on the phone we have right now, we'll just jump right into it. Is it Barry Braun, like Braun Racing?
There you go. That's correct. It's not Brown, it's Braun.
It's Braun. Well, everybody would assume, you know, they see Bristol, some kind of NASCAR affiliation. They see Braun, they think Braun Racing. You know, there's no association there, I'm assuming, or is there?
None at all.
None at all? Okay.
None at all.
Okay. You sound very confident in saying that.
I just don't know if I want to be tied to them.
Is it well, still, I mean, Braun had to start somewhere, so it's like a lizard person thing. There's some kind of blood between y'all, I'm assuming.
Who knows? I mean, we'd have to do a genealogy study to find that out. But as far as I know, no connection at all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm 25% African American. I learned through 23andMe. I guess that's why I can rap.
There you go.
Hey, we got to Bubba Wallace this thing up somehow. So what exactly, you have this all of a sudden biggest race in the world at Bristol Motor Speedway. What's your background in all this? Where did you start coming up? What's your whole, give us the, like, you know, if you could like write a little documentary to where you got today, where does this all start for you? Was it parents in racing? What's the go? Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, so like anybody else, local short track racing in Minnesota. My hometown track is Princeton, Minnesota, Princeton Speedway. My parents sponsored racers there. I'm actually named after a sprint car driver, Barry Kettering, who was my god, or his wife was my godmother. But yeah, long and the short of it is, they sponsored him with their local upholstery business throughout, you know, the late 70s, early 80s. They actually sponsored other racers like Ron Jones, modified racer, amongst many others. And then from there on out, we all grow up and we do our thing. And long story short, I ended up working for Craig Delansky in the sprint cars for a couple of years as a web developer. Throughout time, about 2009 is when I started doing some audio broadcasting for the Lucas Oil Late Model Series at East Bay. And then the next year, we launched the very first ever pay-per-view broadcast, video broadcast online in 2010. At that time, it was called Racecast Live. And then throughout the years, it went into XAN, and then it went to IMCA TV. And then as of this year, as of 2020, we're actually, for the very first time ever, our own company. We've always been Accelerated, we've always been XR, but we've always had a license name or something of that nature. We decided to move on our own this past year.
Now, most people look at Race XR as almost like IMCA's little branch because you get the whole big, the big West Coast race out there at Las Vegas. Is there affiliation or what's the deal there?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we, 2011, I did the very first Super Nationals broadcast, and yeah, I mean, we have a good background with IMCA. We still have a relationship with IMCA. They've went on. They're doing their own thing with IMCA TV now. We're transitioning into more of a promoter. I mean, we're still broadcasters, but, we've picked up on some opportunities. Duel in the Desert was the first one, and we took the Duel in the Desert and turned it around.
Now, is that this year your first go with it, or?
Yeah, well, so we broadcast it for 8 years, since 2012. What ended up happening is the event kind of, I'm trying to be politically correct, but it went to shit. And
why would you say that? I know there was the issue with Southern and Northern sport mods for one time.
No, that's not
Texas, because we always kicked everyone's ass, but that's
right.
But
no, what ended up happening is the track was lackluster. Either it was too slick, no passing, or it was rough. And guys just weren't having a good time.
Storm like Charlotte kind of too?
Yeah,
or?
Well, not that bad, but it was just a bad experience. And so, I mean, let's get down to brass tacks. So what happened is the broadcast started to suffer because people don't want to watch that. That's at the end of the day, it was long nights. It wasn't very good racing. The broadcast, if you're in Central Time, the broadcasts were lasting until 2, 3 in the morning. That doesn't work. So we went to Las Vegas Motor Speedway and said, hey, guys, this ain't working. This is going downhill, and we need to do something. And they said, do you want to take it over? We're like, yes, we would. So we took it over and got down to the fundamentals of what's important about, these events. And number one is the track. Number one is always the track. That's where the racing happens. That's where the experience happens for the racers. And we had to get that turned around. So that's what we did. We found out we had racers. We did our pre-entry. They're there. They're going to support us. Okay. So then we turned our focus and all of our attention into operations. And after doing that, the track, we got it turned around. It's the desert. It's one of the hardest tracks to get a hold of. And Mike Van Genderen and his team made it work, and the racing was some of the best that I've ever seen out there. Not trying to toot our horn, but it did work, and it worked way better than expected. So after that, sky's the limit. We've been offered other opportunities, and we're looking at different things. And Bristol was just a storm of opportunity, all within like a matter of a week. And what's right now? It's the 30th. So I say this is all transpired in about the last month.
So they had already expressed that they were going to do a dirt race with the NASCAR events, and you came along with this idea, or how did that go?
So Speedway Motorsports owns Bristol, Vegas, Charlotte, Atlanta,
right. The big,
a number of tracks.
SMI, Bruton Smith.
Right. So they caught wind that Vegas, that we tackled Vegas. And after we tackled Vegas, this is a huge deal, this Bristol situation for them, obviously, with NASCAR. They want to throw the best that they can get at it. They want that track to be the best possible for, the Cup race. Well, here we are, the new kids on the block, and, I guess we did all right. And so they called us in. They're like, hey, this is what we're looking at. And we're like, yep, we'll take it. And that's where we're at now.
So they wanted y'all to make the track basically for the NASCAR Cup race, and then you were like, let's do this too?
I think the biggest thing is, they want the best track that they can get.
And they saw y'all overhaul Las Vegas, basically.
Saw us overhaul Vegas, and then they looked at this opportunity and said, okay, well, what can we do to make it the best track? Mike basically told them, it's like, well, you can't just, build this track and then run cars on it and expect it to be, excellent. You're going to have to put it through its paces before the NASCAR race. And that's where, a lot of the ideas started getting shared. And then all of a sudden it's like, here we are. And started, looking at what sanctioning bodies, what do we want to run? I mean, obviously with a background in IMCA and trust me, a lot of the Speedway Motorsports people are like, you guys are freaking crazy if you think that IMCA guys are going to pull. A lot of them didn't think it was going to happen. And long story short, we put IMCA guys in there. And guess what? The first ones that filled up, IMCA cars. After that, of
course, this is more of like I got a little mad in one of my videos. I was like, you got your local tracks that you don't support, but this is finally your opportunity. I was speaking to the racers. Here's your opportunity to go into Big Daddy's mansion and perform, and you are just going to throw over your bodies to do it. Of course they would have. Everybody. Any class that you would have named would have filled up, personally. That's what I think.
Right. But we went and looked at it. It's like, hey, these guys have had our backs. Okay, these guys, we went to war. Mike Van Genderen is an IMCA promoter. He has Stewart Speedway in Stewart, Iowa. These are the guys that we know we can count on. We really don't know East Coast, and that's just the bottom line. So we got to have our comfort level at the same time. We're also going to hire some people that we know from the East Coast. We're going to work in some of these classes. We went back and forth with Brad Hockaday, our timing and scoring guy, with Kelly Carlton, our tech guy. What's the best classes that we can run in this area? And yeah, I feel like we put the best classes possible together for the format that we want to run, put this track through its paces and get it ready for NASCAR. But in the meantime, I think what's going to end up happening is we're going to put on some pretty kick-ass races right before NASCAR, and they got to live up to us.
So I was somewhat joking, but I was somewhat mad, and it sounds like somewhat true that basically this race is somewhat, in a way, and is intentionally speaking, kind of packing the track for NASCAR Cup racing.
I don't think there's any dispute in that. They even, in our Bristol Dirt Nationals podcast, we're called the guinea pig. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I have never had a problem with proving, what we're doing or, what the event is all about. But in the meantime, we just might overshadow what they do because I think we have quality racers coming to this event. And I think we're going to put on a good show. So, yeah, maybe we are the pre-show or whatever you want to call us. And that's fine. I mean, awesome. But we might end up overshadowing the big show.
Hopefully. I talk about the leveling system that NASCAR kind of lives on. I think they push dirt to a grassroots level, kind of like a recreational football, even though we know it's not, or flag football or recreational basketball. That's what it is. I think we all kind of know that's not true. The only class that I see that, and I was just looking at your entry list. I mean, Tyler, late models, supers especially, are going to get some big names just based on it being super late models. You see every big name there is from Bloomquist, Carpenter. I mean, it's pretty lined up, pretty stacked. And then, of course, you have these other classes. The only other one that I'm worried, and I hope Weber Valley did not inspire this to happen, but the Hornets. Are you at least a little bit worried about the Hornets, the safety aspect? Are y'all going to have, like, intense inspection of those cars, or what's the situation?
Right, and I think that's what people are – well, it's twofold, okay? I think – and that's what the podcast, episode 1 of the podcast is out to educate folks. This track is not anywhere near what it was in 2000, 2001. They're putting 20,000 loads of clay on it, 8 to 10 feet in the corners. This is going to be 18 degrees of banking. In 2000 and 2001, it was anywhere from 24 to 26 degrees. It was... And year number 2, it was much better. But this is a much different situation. Also, there's resources thrown at this event that were never thrown at 2000 and 2001 because it's NASCAR. Bottom line. On top of that, yeah, safety. And this will come out, I think, tonight. But the safety guidelines for the event are very strict, extremely strict. Hornet racers have to have a full containment seat. They have to have a Hans device or something similar. This isn't no dog and pony show. This isn't a weekly race. We have an infield care center. We have the best of the best when it comes to, ambulance folks, emergency folks, all of that. There will not be. At the end of the day, it's unmatched. You're not going to have an infield care center at any other dirt track. This has the best of the best. Is it going to be gnarly? Absolutely. It's a big half mile, and there's going to be some wrecks, but there's wrecks at other big half miles.
Yeah, I was about to say when you name that degree of banking, so it's basically going to be Eldora with a little bit tighter corners, or tighter corners. But I think they have an infield care center, probably the only other one that does.
But yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, and we can sit here and debate all day and plan all day. We don't know until they get on the track. We don't know exactly what we're working with, but we have some of the best track people that will look at it and get after the track and do the best that they can to create the best surface possible. What the racers do on the track, that's up to them. But at the end of the day, they are not going to get on the track unless their safety is up to snuff. If they do not have the best of the best when it comes to safety equipment, they will not get on the track. And that not only goes for the Hornets, because I don't want to pick on these guys, but all of the classes. And this isn't, if you go back and look at the different rules for the different sanctions and whatnot, not all of these classes, have to have these things in these other sanctions. Right. At Bristol, they do. And people would wonder, why are we doing that? Because it's Bristol. It's a half mile. All eyes are on this. This event has to have the best of the best. And I look at it this way. Hey, if you don't want to do a $300 safety harness or whatever the case may be, you don't have to come. I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I don't think that there's any price on safety.
I think you should, at least on the Hornet side of things, just because a lot of those are personally made, the cages, the welds on some of these cages and some of these four bangers are not too stout, and you're going to get to some pretty high speeds out there with these cars. And the way you can really actually hurt somebody that a full containment can't protect is if the cage snaps and collapses. So that's what I would be worried about with some of these Hornets. It wasn't necessarily about the seats and all that. It's the cages and who actually is building the safety equipment inside the car,
Right. So Kelly Carlton, who's the head of the SCDRA, on top of that, that's his realm. He gets that part. The SCDRA Hornets are a completely different animal. It's not, Joe Shitbox from the local track. These guys take this Hornet thing really seriously.
Yeah, and don't they have a Hornet that competes on that little short track asphalt event they have every year at Bristol? I think.
But again, that's a completely different zip code from what we're doing. Not only is it not, as far as our rule book, it's completely a different zip code. And they also have the banking to deal with. That's the big ass asphalt track, and I've driven my rental car on there. And that's a scary sumbitch. You get up in the corners, it is scary as all get out. And to drive a freaking Hornet on that with no thank you. No thank you.
Are you planning to do normal starting fields? Or are you gonna increase the starting grid for some of these classes since you have the track to do it?
I believe so, but nothing is set in stone yet. I mean, there's an outline of the schedule every night. And the features, but we're going to dial that all in as the entries start to, I guess, kind of settle down. And we're at that point. We're at the point where we're planning now how many laps, how many hours are we going to be on the track? What are we going to do as far as timing wise and whatnot? We're bringing all the cars to the infield for, like sets of 10 heats. And there's no pitting in the infield. That's just used for staging. We run those 10 heats. Those 10 heats go out. The next 10 heats come back in, and it will be run with precision. Whereas in the past, again, and going back to 2000 and 2001, they ran from the infield. There will be no haulers in the infield this time. It's all staging.
So it'll pretty much be like Gateway, where you have a pitting area outside the facility and you'll roll the cars in?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So all your pits will be in different pockets outside of the facility. And let me get to that quick. A lot of people ask about 1,200 entries. And where's the room in the pits? I mean, this is the same Bristol Motor Speedway that's 162,000 seats and, used to be filled up. There's plenty of room in the grounds. And
I don't know who's asking that. They're just ignorant. But I deal with those people too, so I understand.
Hey, it is what it is. And Facebook, just as well as anybody, Facebook or social media, they're going to look at a headline and gripe and complain and piss and moan about whatever. This has all been thought through, and we get it. Safety is a big aspect of Bristol. We've got some late model guys pissing and moaning already about, breaking hubs and this and that. But they're playing out of the playbook from 2000 and 2001. It's a completely different playbook, but yet they want to ignore that. I don't know if they want to sell some parts or what they want to do. But at the end of the day, this is a completely different Bristol. It's a completely different format, classes, safety, tech, everything. And we're not going to let anything slide just because we want to be cool and put on an event. We want to put on the safest event possible, number one, and we want the racing to be damn good.
Now, something I think most people were worried about, kind of like I was saying, it's basically they're out there packing the track for the NASCAR races, but I think most are concerned when they see Charlotte, when they see Texas Motor Speedway, when they see Vegas race, and I experience this being in Texas, seeing it, and you see Charlotte every year. It's like the big dogs, big wigs don't really care about their little dirt track, and then when they just throw them on there, and you have these horrible track conditions you were talking about with Vegas, you have the same similar situations at Texas. You have similar situations, obviously, at Charlotte. I think that would be, or was one of the main concerns, is they're just going to do this dirt race and just throw them out there and just let it wing it and see what's right and what's wrong. You're saying that you are, this isn't like the big wigs running the event. You kind of put this event to the big wigs. This is what I want to do. And you're going to make sure that the track is, set up to put on the best show possible. And at the same time, of course, it is, getting the dirt ready for the Cup guys at the same time.
Just it's happenstance that we get it ready for them. I think
But it's being taken seriously, unlike the Charlotte track and all that. It's like just pushed to the side, who cares type still. That's how it looks to most people.
In reality, when you look at like a Charlotte, Texas, or Vegas, those dirt tracks are one of the in Vegas especially, it's a multi-purpose facility. There's a number of different tracks on the facility. There's 1,400 events a year. It turns into a money thing. It makes X amount of money. And, it's really not in the top, 50%. So obviously we're going to get kicked to the curb. And we're always going to be the underdog. But that's fine. And I have no problem with that. I have no problem being the underdog whatsoever. My reputation's on the line, Mike Van Genderen's reputation, Kelly Carlton, Brad Hockaday, a number of people's reputations on the line. Not only that, it needs to be fiscally responsible. I hope we can make a couple dollars. And on top of that, if it helps out the NASCAR people, I think that's part of being what we call a good partner and making sure that that track is in the best shape possible. And if they do great, awesome, because it's going to give us an opportunity to do it again. And I think that's what's missing from, the woe is us and, we get mistreated and what. No, we're here to be what we are. We get it. There's a pecking order, but let's put on the best show that we possibly can. And hey, maybe we'll open some eyes. Maybe that will make some opportunities for us at other tracks, other events, other, cool shit that we can do in the long run. And that's the bottom line. Do I care about being on TV? Do I care about, a number of different things in the NASCAR world? No, absolutely not. What I care about is taking care of the grassroots racers, number one. If we can give them an opportunity to run at Bristol, because it's pretty kick-ass if you go in there. That's what we're here to do. That's part of our legacy. We want to open up opportunities for that. And at the end of the day, We want what's best for dirt track racing because that Vegas event, bottom line, it is a fantastic facility. It just wasn't put together the way it should be over the last couple of years, and it should be a crown jewel when it comes to IMCA. It should be considered pound for pound one of the best races, but it kind of got away. Yeah, financially, yes, we'd love to make a little bit of money, but we're very passionate about what we do. And, sometimes that makes it so we don't make as much money as we probably should or in the business eyes, but we're very proud of what we do. We're proud of our product. And I'm going to back it up. And I know that you pointed this out, the Hornet guys. Those guys are just as welcome as the super late model guys. This isn't a Weber Valley thing. These are the guys that help keep weekly tracks open day in and day out. They need an opportunity just as well as anybody else. And I'll live and die on that every single day because we are grassroots to the core. And honestly, and going back to the broadcast side, I've been doing the late models and the sprint cars and the big time stuff. And the reason that we are here is because of the grassroots guys. We rebuilt our organization on the IMCA type guys. And I will go to bat for the grassroots guys any day of the week. And if it comes to safety and a couple things to make sure that we run the best event for them, for us, and for the industry, and they might be a little uncomfortable because they're pissed off they got to buy a $300 Hans device, that's fine. Because I'm going to stand up and we're going to do it the right way because we don't want it to be, a crash fest or wreck fest or whatever you want to call it. We don't want any of that. We want to put on the best show possible. And I want those Hornet guys, and I'm going to challenge them to go put on the best show possible because they're the underdogs. They're the ones that people are bitching and moaning about on social media time in and time out, and I want them to prove it.
Well, and it's funny how you make the distinction between World of Outlaw or super late model sprint car stuff and local racing. You're saying that you consider that local IMCA Hornet stock car stuff the grassroots of the racing world.
Who keeps these tracks open?
Well, no. Here, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but my point, and I look at it from this perspective. I look at this event as a little bit bigger of a situation, maybe, because NASCAR will continually, and you mentioned the pecking order. I'm just going to talk about it. They will consistently label, World of Outlaw sprint cars as a grassroots racing. They'll put that feature winner sign out front. So I mean, you're saying you consider the weekly racer more so the grassroots racer than just anything but NASCAR.
Absolutely. I mean, and there's no disrespect to touring late models or touring sprint cars.
That's respectful. In my opinion, you're being very respectful because I think calling Donnie Schatz a grassroots racer very disrespectful. I would consider that, professional national level racing. So you saying what you're saying right now, I'm okay with that version of grassroots racing because the NASCAR version, in my opinion, is closer to the N-word. It's your lower form label. That's how I look at it in the marketing world.
Right. But at the end of the day, for me, these are the guys that keep the weekly tracks open. Those weekly tracks are the ones that bring in the National Touring Series, whether it's late models or sprint cars or whatever, monster trucks or whatever, what have you. They need a stage, and they deserve a stage just like anybody else. Now, they're not going to get National Touring Series. They're not going to be on MAV TV. They're not going to be on any of those because, at the end of the day, business is business. It just isn't going to generate that kind of revenue. So you better believe if we have an opportunity to put them on the national stage, we're going to do it. And they're going to get to hang out with the super late model guys. And yeah, maybe that's going to push some of the big names away. I don't care. We want the guys that want to be there for the reasons they want to be there, and that's to put on a show.
Well, you mentioned, bringing the big, TV and all that. Of course, streaming's kind of taking over, reaching people and even making money. TV kind of works on making money off of advertisement, and you got to have a certain view rating for you to be able to garnish a certain amount for the advertisement. And that's just hard to do in dirt track racing because there's more people that believe that lizard people run the world than know what a sprint car or late model is. That's a big issue in itself. Plus, I think a lot of the streaming services would hate if TV gets involved, because then they would want to contract these series or events to be on television, and the streaming services work on viewership, memberships. So that's a conflict of interest there to get to that type of attention. What is your projection of this race, though? I just don't want it to be, and I see this happen all the time, this whole, here's the local guy type of, not necessarily, and in my opinion, when I hear IMCA modified racer, I think there's a lot of racers here at local short tracks across the country that are the greatest, possibly some of the greatest drivers in America. It's just there is no high school or college in the racing world to determine who's the best. The guys up in cup racing, they had the millions of dollars to get into a truck at 17. Some of these guys, the traditional racer that became a big deal, winning on a local scene and all that, don't get no glorification anymore, because when he gets to 25 years old or 27, finally saves up $100,000 for a sprint car, or $40,000 for an IMCA modified, or 25 for a stock car, or heck, 15 for a Hornet. I mean, those damn things ain't cheap. At that point, you're already too old. The world looks at you as, I guess, you failed in some high school or college racing world, and you're just the leftover that wasn't good enough to get up to the NASCAR stuff we see on TV. That's the pro. That's what's next to NFL, NBA. Those are the best of the best. This huge manipulational tactic, in my opinion. This Bristol Dirt Nationals event, in my opinion, once again, is going to be a just as high, if not higher level event as far as difficulty to win the race, and probably difficulty to go around the track. Let's not confuse ourselves. These cup cars, in my opinion, are going to go around that track like a street stock. They're going to be slow. They're going to be straight, pretty easy to flop around there, look like a floppy chicken or something. I don't know. But I think that this event you got going on is going to host higher level talents and a higher difficulty of ability to be going and making laps around that racetrack. And I would like to see that be the premise, because you always see the national kind of media treat this dirt racing thing as something that little kids use to get ready to go to a truck. Not where men are that are grown-up badasses that just don't have $3.5 million to rent one out when they're a kid themselves.
I can't disagree with anything you're saying. I mean, I can't. There are events, and we'd be remiss if we didn't, say an IMCA Super Nationals, a Duel in the Desert, Deer Creek Fall Jamboree with like USMTS, a number of, even at Charlotte, having their World Short Track Championship or whatever it is. There is opportunities. Obviously, this is, it's deemed once in a lifetime at this point. It's deemed once in a lifetime, and it is Bristol Motor Speedway. It's one of the biggest racetracks,
right,
capacity-wise in the United States. So, of course, yes, to get your name on this trophy is going to be incredible. It's going to be an incredible way to, just to say that you're racing Bristol Motor Speedway. That's where we come in. That's creating these opportunities. And again, I can't help it if, yes, as Darin Joyner points out in this chat room, if the late models are 3 seconds quicker, awesome. You're right. For the most part, the NASCAR Cup cars, no disrespect, they're basically a factory stock.
That's exactly all they are, yes.
And so we have late models, we have open modifieds, we have modifieds, open wheel type cars. I think one that you're not really looking at because it's not really from your wheelhouse, but the IMCA stock cars are going to put on a hell of a show.
I know IMCA stock cars. They were pretty big in Texas, and they're basically they're in my opinion they're faster than an IMCA modified now, because in reality IMCA modifieds are 604 modifieds. I hate what they've done to it, but that's what it is technically. That's what it looks like to me. Whereas the IMCA stock car ain't necessarily limited as bad.
I'm never going to disrespect any certain class of car by their engine designation or what guys can afford what they can afford, and that's the bottom line. And if they can enjoy it, that's awesome. We're going to give them the opportunity that we potentially put them on this platform, and just because they're a Hornet, a 602, a 604, a stock car, whatever it may be, doesn't mean they are not a badass racer.
No. I'm just saying. The crate situation, obviously, there's a whole nother world of debates right there, about taking out the local engine builder, all that stuff. But I'm more so saying with the
but,
stock
but
car.
what we're looking at more so than anything is I'm not going to disrespect their decision, whether it's because of it's a crate, it's affordable, the engine builders, whatnot. We want to bring the best guys to Bristol. At the end of the day, the best guys to Bristol in the classes. That's why. I do want to point out this. Grant Wesley asked why IMC over UMP. We're doing both.
Yeah, I saw that. I did see that. Yes.
So we have technically UMP open modifieds, and then I guess if you want to get into the 602, 604 crate discussion, but it's a convergence of both. And again, it goes back, Grant, to us having a big background in IMCA. The reality is this is only 10 hours away for most tracks, IMCA tracks, and we get guys that pull 26 hours over to Las Vegas. 10 hours ain't jack squat to them, and they want to race Bristol. So we're going to give them an opportunity. We're going to give the USRA guys, the WISSOTA guys, the UMP guys. It's a convergence of all of it.
Now, what about the sport mod? Is it northern, southern? What are you letting happen there? What's happening there?
As of right now, just because of the numbers, it's a northern sport mod, and then what is considered on the East Coast a 602 modified. Again, it's the convergence of two different sanctioning bodies trying to find a rule set and tires and spoilers that make them both competitive at the same time. At this point, you put a Southern Sport mod out there, they're going to whoop their ass just because of the tire that they're on, the spoiler, and a number of other things. So it's just not possible. And then, and Chaz, we're at this point now. We have over 1,200 entries.
I saw 1,235.
Yeah, it's closer to 1,300 after doing a draft on Monday. We're at 1,300. Problem being is we have 500 on a waiting list. And that's why when we pick the classes, we're like, okay, let's determine what classes would have the most interest, that have the most pull. And obviously we'd fill up, and every class has done it. Every single class. The only thing that, only regret, and I wish we could go back and add it, is the street stocks. Typically like a 602 street stock or
the only one I would argue of why you didn't add is, and it may be a safety deal, but I mean I don't get it with Hornets being there. It's 305 sprint car.
I'll tell you why we stood down on that is because of the World of Outlaws. Out of respect to the World of Outlaws and them running the sprint cars the next month, we decided, hey, we'll stick with the grassroots classes. Yes, a 305 is a grassroots class. We would have filled that up. No problem. There's a ton of them in Pennsylvania. There's a ton of them from around the United States.
Texas, Midwest, everywhere around there, yeah.
And again, it's something where let's take one step at a time. Here's where our goal is in this event. Let's run the best event that we can, safe, best racing. Hopefully the weather doesn't jack with us too much. Hopefully Corona doesn't jack with us too much. And we'll go from there. Hopefully it's financially viable and successful. NASCAR does good the next week. The World of Outlaws does good in April. And it's all kumbaya, and everybody is like, hey, let's do this again next year. That's where we start tweaking. That's where we potentially can start, looking at other classes, maybe doing more, maybe doing another week of it. It's just all dependent. Let's get down and drill it down to what the best potential is for right now, do our best with it, and see where we go after that.
Now, obviously, I'm a sprint car guy. So when you say 305 to World of Outlaws, you don't want to step on the World of Outlaws. I mean that makes no sense to me. Some people were mentioning in the same discussion realm, not stepping on another series or class. The Lucas Oil late models are racing the same weekend, I believe, as this event. Correct.
Correct. And here's the thing: is there's discussions from World of Outlaws about having certain classes, and it goes back to hey. And we use that term, and we might overuse it now. Good partner. It's kind of like synergy in the world of corporate speak. Being a good partner, we know that they're coming. We know that they're going to do their event in April. We don't want to step on that too much. We have other opportunities. We have flexibility that we can work with them and make sure that we're not on top. The super late model side, well. Yeah, there's going to be some scheduling difficulties because of multiple touring series. It's all there is to it.
So you're more so saying since the Outlaws are doing it on the same track, just a wing sprint car in general is kind of stepping on the toes.
Yeah, that discipline. And I mean,
Well, the
I think
super late models, I think, are running there, right? That World Outlaw Late Model Series itself is coming, correct?
Correct. Yep, they're running the next month, and that's a discussion that was had. And we just agreed, hey, this is what we're going to do. We decided we're going to go with the 50,000 to win event, and we want to make something of it. Now, what their turnout's going to be and how that's going to go. I mean, I hope for the best for them. I also hope for the best for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. We have nothing against them, but there's only so many different dates and schedules that can go. On top of that, those dates traditionally, it's about a 50-50 chance they're going to run. It's a 50-50 chance we're probably going to run it on those same days.
Right. And the rain is in that area in the same time. And, of course, the Bristol race with the NASCAR clan or crew is going to be the week after y'all, and a couple weeks or a week before the Outlaws and Big Blocks and all that?
Correct. Yep. So. Then there's a couple weeks off, and then they have the late models and the Big Blocks, or late models and the UMP mods, and then they have the 2 weeks after that, I believe, is the sprint cars, and which I think is going to be cool is actually the big block modifieds.
The only thing that isn't going to be there that I think would be super badass would have been Silver Crown. Not USAC sprint cars, because I think you could really hurt somebody because they're so light and fast. But the Silver Crown cars are kind of heavier. They can handle that bigger speed, and not really, hurt somebody, I wouldn't think. Or at least not have as much of a chance as you would with a USAC car. But you could have a non-wing sprint car there and kind of have it somewhat safe with it being that big Silver Crown car. That's the only car that I would like to see on that track. I think it would be cool, but.
Well, what I'd like to see more than anything is all of us be successful. And I know that sounds weird, people working together in the dirt track industry, but I think that is important. We're always up for discussion. If anybody wanted to call us and work together, we're cool with that. I think it's important that we put on a show. NASCAR puts on a show. World of Outlaws puts on a show. That opens up opportunities for potentially maybe the Silver Crowns to come the next year, which I agree. That would be ridiculous on that track. But we have to, walk before we run, as they would say, and try this out, see what's going to work, see what's not going to work. And here's the reality of it. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be potentially weather. There's going to be potential track issues, a number of other things. But at the end of the day, we can try our best. We're putting our reputations on the line. We're putting the racers' reputations on the line. World of Outlaws is putting their butts on the line, and so is NASCAR. So we have to do the best that we possibly can. And don't think for a minute that they're not going to throw every resource at it to try and make it successful. And I'm going to add, on top of that, you go back to streaming, TV, all that. There's a reason they're doing dirt. It's because people are looking at it. It's because it's badass. And it's because people they're into it right now.
Right, it's hot, and NASCAR's trying to use that hotness. Here's what I don't want. Here's what I don't want is, say, Brad Keselowski wins the dirt race at Bristol in the NASCAR Cup Series. I don't want this regular world that is idiotic to how racing works thinking that Brad Keselowski is now the greatest dirt track racer in America. That's what I don't want. So, I mean, I'm looking at maybe a different area or spectrum or angle than you may be looking at it as. I'm more so looking at the respect factor. Maybe this is a pack in the track situation, but I don't want these talents that are so amazing in this dirt racing world to be looked at as, track packing talents, lower form people, even though that's this system that's been placed out there. That's more so the battle that I have with this. And maybe I got to run my mouth throughout the week about how badass it is or whatever. But I just hope, and unfortunately it seems to be that way, that if a regular NASCAR guy wins the NASCAR dirt race at Bristol, that he's automatically, one of the best, greatest ever to ever be on a dirt track,
I think that there's some potential to that, and there's some validity to that argument, but I also think there's validity to our argument, and that's for us to put on the best show and spotlight what we're doing. What's going to happen with a super late model and a World of Outlaws sprint car and a big block modified and even a Hornet could potentially be much more thrilling than anything that NASCAR could do. And again, NASCAR could put on a great show, and it could be awesome. I think at the end of the day, yes, the potential is there to say, oh, they're going to, come take over and this and that. I don't look at it from that perspective. I look at it as, boys, let's go out there and let's show them how it's done. Let's put on the show that we know that we can put on. Let's open opportunities for us. Granted, they're business, and if they see that's where this convergence is coming together, the streaming convergence, the TV convergence, now people that's not necessarily a bad thing, is if we can take hold of that and we can run with it at the same time, and it opens up opportunities for us.
Yeah, I definitely think the big problem with going the TV route is I think you got to have a minimum of like 1.7 million to really get onto like network cable, unless you buy a network like Mav. But I think if you add up all the Facebook likes, there's only like 600,000 that like your main series out there. It's not as relevant as some people think. And here's what I'm saying, and I'm not trying to go back and forth here. All I'm saying is in America, I think people want to watch and see and want to spectate Batman. They don't really want to spectate Robin. And it just seems like in this racing world that is projected to the masses out there, that dirt track racing with the grassroots and beginner style labeling, it's the Robin of the racing world. It's where it's the second rates. That's my problem with the hostage. I just hope that it is projected, and like I said, maybe I got to run my mouth all week, that, these are Batmans. Even some of these guys in Hornets, they could be the best racer in the country. They just only have 15 grand for a Hornet. There's this big money factor where it's like 83% of the population is $1,000 from going broke. If you got 15 grand to spend, you're not doing too bad, So, and then if you got the millions, it's a whole nother situation. So,
but I think when it's all said and done, that's perception, and perception be damned. This is reality. Reality is that there's a reason that they're coming to dirt now, and it's because they see what we got going on, and they want a piece of that action.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get some of the fans, get some of the money. Perception is reality. They get pro-level advertisement because they've tricked the entire masses into making them believe that they are the pro level of racing. They're the NFL, so they get NFL-style sponsorship. They got to protect that.
There's no doubt about it. But I think you got to look at the opportunity for us, even if we are the underdogs, even if we are lower on the pecking order.
So that is your kind of perspective. Your perspective is you're the underdog, and you would like dirt to take over this racing deal.
That's not only my perspective. I know we're the underdog. We have always been the underdog.
But you want to take them out. I know you're saying working together, but you want to be on top with this dirt deal now, don't you?
Hey, we're just as competitive as the guys on the track. That's all there is to it. And I built my business being competitive. I built our business being strategic. We've got the best guys to go to war with at this point, and we've got the best racers possible. I believe that all day, night, and long. And that's where you can want to hang out with us and you can want to run your races on dirt, but we've done this. We've been there. We do it week in and week out, and we are the best of the best in the entire nation, and we're going to prove it. There's nothing wrong with being competitive with your business partners. That only makes everybody better.
Right. Yeah, and I used to say that promoters I think there was a lot more of a promoter competition back in the day. I always reference, 1984 Kings Royal, Steve Kinser won it for 50 grand. The 1984 Talladega 500 in NASCAR Winston Cup at Talladega was won by Dale Earnhardt Sr. for 47. So there was these eras that I think different promoters of different styles of motorsports were, actually trying to compete with one another. I think you see glimpses of that, with the big races they have with the 175 at the Kings Royal last year. You see, I think, Knoxville's 200,000. They're trying to get that pay back to, relevant, understanding of, in a promoter's competition realm,
I think, we can talk about pay all day long, but let's just talk about product and what we're putting on the track and the races that we're putting on. And that's going to be key. I need our racers to come out there and put on the best show that they can. Don't drive over your head. Don't make it a crash fest. We'll make it as safe as we possibly can. When they get behind the steering wheel, we can't control that outside of, maybe throwing a black flag or whatever the case may be. But I believe at bottom line, they will put on the best show. of the entire whole dirt experience at Bristol Dirt Nationals, NASCAR World of Outlaws, I'm going to bet that my guys are going to do it.
So is this a separate deal? Is this your show? Is this like, hold on, let me, is this, obviously you're doing track and all that, you're handling that, but promoters of events wise, is this kind of you at this Dirt Nationals versus NASCAR with their deal versus World Racing Group with their deal?
Absolutely. This is our event. From the top on down, it's our event. We're working with them. We're definitely helping with the equipment, running in the track, helping get it set up. And I think, again, it goes back to you do have to work together. There has to be some form of working together. You're all working towards the same goal, and that's to make this dirt track the most successful it possibly can be financially and otherwise for all of the different series. But, I mean, why are you in business if you don't want to be the best? We
That's
totally
right.
want to be the best. We want to have the best show. We want the Hornets to put on the best damn feature of the whole thing. And honestly,
In the name of Gage Martinez? Is that what it's about?
No, it's not about Gage Martinez. It's about the fact that there's more Hornets registered for this event than any other class. To me, that speaks volumes that these guys want to be involved. And it doesn't matter if it's a 4-cylinder, it doesn't matter if it's a 360 or whatever the hell the motor is. These guys want to drive. Their money is just as good as any other guy. And if they can put on a show, God damn it, go and put on a show. And let's let it rip. Just let's not play Wreckfest. Let's put on the best show that we can. And hey, at the end of the day, prove why you guys should be there. Because, I mean, if you look at social media, Jesus, these Hornets, it's like it's sacrilegious that they're even allowed to drive into this facility. I don't believe in that. I believe in giving everybody an opportunity, and I think that's where these guys they're on the clock. Let's show them what it's all about.
Yeah, it would be cool, or it would have been cool if some big name would have entered the Hornets race, one of the NASCAR guys. Honestly, that's the closest car as far as speed, I think, that's going to be on your track in comparison to a NASCAR Cup vehicle is going to be the Hornets. A Cup driver could have got some practice running the Hornet class.
So I'm going to tell you right now, and you're going to be surprised. You're going to see.
Oh no!
You're going to see some. You're going to see some crossover. And there's a lot of surprises.
Hold on, did you save entries for surprise people? You know what I'm saying? Did you save a spot for Chase Elliott on the entries?
What I'm saying is your social media is going to light up here in the next couple weeks because there's going to be some fun. There's definitely going to be some fun. No. I mean, that's putting on the promoter hat.
I got my helmet right behind me in my fire suit over there.
So that's what we got going on. I mean, here's the thing. When we announced this, we didn't realize the interest that we were going to have. I mean, yes, we've done big events. We've done the Duel in the Desert. We've been involved with other big events. But we didn't realize that it was just – I mean, we were basically going to be sold out in 5 hours. We did not realize that. I don't think any promoter could realize that. So at the end of the day, yes, we're doing some things to adjust, bring in more racers. We're doing a draft. We're having some fun with that. We're going to get some mileage out of it. There's no doubt about it. But we also want fans in the grandstands. I mean, hopefully everything works out with COVID and all that other good stuff. But, yeah, we want some fans in the grandstands. We want to have some fun with it. And, these NASCAR guys are knocking on us. They got to race the next week at this same track, right? Don't you think they probably want to get a couple laps if they can?
Definitely.
So there's some surprises coming. I will tell you that. There's also some surprises coming on additional events that we're going to...
I was going to ask you about that because I saw in the comments somebody asked you about doing it with Martinsville, and I even had that damn idea. But, and you said thinking of something bigger than that. What is something bigger than that?
You'll see. And it's something that nobody's even thinking of right now. And not only that, but there's some things coming on. The discussion the last couple of days was the super late models. And one thing that really rubs me raw, and this gets back to being grassroots, is where's the big names? There's over 100 frickin' names in the super late models.
That grassroots labels why we don't have big names because a local racer, I don't know if you look back in your papers, was labeled professional.
Right.
The local superstar was more of an icon to racing people than the one or two NASCAR people from the dirt world. I talk about that in sprint car racing for 30 years since Jeff Gordon. We don't have sprint car superstars because our only sprint car superstars are the Jeff Gordons, the Tony Stewarts, the Bells, the Larson, and all of our stars live in their shadow. That's somewhat the situation across the board for everybody. But your only racing stars is NASCAR people.
Well, and we look at this super late model as, it's the pinnacle of dirt racing, and we've got to have all these wonderful names. And what happened to making new names? What happened to making new stars? Right. And I mean, I've got a Bloomquist and a Bobby Pierce and a Pearson and a Lanigan and a Madden. These guys have won a couple races. Yeah, we've got a roster that's over 100. It's 101 at this point. What late model race have you seen in the last 10 years that has had 100 entries?
Well, I'll defend your late model there in a little bit, because that shadow I was just talking about, the sprint car world, late model world, you can go make a little name. Bobby Pierce went out and made his name. Brandon Overton went out and made his name. Davenport, he became a star of the sport, not in anyone's shadow. Whereas in the sprint car world, you go win a World of Outlaw race like Gio Scelzi, and they're talking about sending you to a truck. They only want to keep you around and build your name. So at least in the late model world, I think y'all have a better chance of building stars, because y'all stars isn't in the shadow. Tyler Reddick's over there in Cup, and nobody even cares. So
how about a Tyler Carpenter? I mean, awesome regional racer, but until he won Gateway,
yeah,
right,
true.
I mean, I look at all these regional guys that we've got, and the talent and the depth and the potential that these guys get in the top 5, and they battle with a Bloomquist or they battle with a Pierce. And if these other prima donnas don't want to show up because they're part of another series, or their feelings are going to get hurt racing at Bristol, then don't come, because I'll take the depth any day over some preconceived notion that we have to have some quote-unquote names at the event. These names will make the event.
I'm scrolling up the list right now. It's insane of the names that are actually registered. I'm trying to get to the top. I guess I was near the bottom. You got some names: Tyler Carpenter, Scott Bloomquist, Earl Pearson Jr., and I'm not even a late model guy. I'm just recognizing some of these. Kyle Strickler. I mean, come on, this guy is moved up from modifieds in the late models. One of the fastest late model drivers in the country. Just switched to a rocket chassis. Bobby Pierce, Chris Matt. Yeah, like the names you're talking about are on this list. I don't see a Ricky Thornton Jr. That's one of my favorite drivers. I think he's a top level talent. Finally getting a shot, a righteous shot in late model racing. I don't see his name on here. Kind of disappointed about that.
And at that point, he's running Lucas Oil. Maybe the weather doesn't, work for them, and he shows up at Bristol. And Ricky is one guy, and if we want to talk about grassroots guys and a guy that has earned it, it's Ricky Thornton Jr.
He's one of the best in the country. And see, I like promoting a Ricky Thornton Jr. as better than a Kyle Busch, because he is, in my opinion. He just didn't have the millions to rent out a truck and go down that route. But yeah, there's a lot of names, and I saw a few people saying how there should have been some requirements to some of the names y'all allow onto this list, because some people signed up and they were going to, and then they saw it and they're like, I don't know, that guy's a little, all over the track here at my local place. Have you heard anything like that? And wow, by the way, this open modified list, it's cool that Steve Arpin's coming back after going and doing the rally stuff. Steve Arpin, it'll be interesting to see how he does, but your open modified list is just stout as well. I mean, this is pretty intense what you got here. I don't know what people are complaining about.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, when it comes to criteria and all these other things, we're not going to get into popularity contests. That's what that turns into. Oh, you got to have this guy, and you've got.
Did you see Mark Nobles coming back for this?
Absolutely.
Wow, that just caught my eye.
So, yeah, I mean, you get names like that, and a Steve Arpin. Not only is Steve Arpin racing, but he's going to do the open mods and the mods. Now he has Longhorn chassis by Lone Bro to sell. I mean, you want to talk talent. The talent is there. The depth is there. Yeah, they might not be the super sexy names and like the super late models at times, but there's plenty of talent. There's over 1,300 racers that are going to come and hang out with us for the week. Granted, maybe not all of them will show up. I'm pretty sure a majority are going to show up. And
are you going to have a certain amount of people like as backups? Like, hey, here's the 50 or 100 people or 25 per class or some number. Show up. If no one shows up, you're in.
Yeah, what it came down to is like, we opened it with 150 per class, and then started to come to the conclusion. It's like, talking to our timing and scoring guys that have done other big events, there's 10 to 20% that aren't going to show up for whatever reason. At the Duel in the Desert, we had 477 cars. We had 567 entered. A lot of guys didn't show up because of, Corona, quarantine, a number of other things that they couldn't get to the track. And that's fine. That's just reality. So if 10 to 20% don't show up, we're still going to be, in that 150 realm. We're still going to be able to run a good show, decent speed show, and we're going to go from there.
So no ideas of adding on a day or something and having an LCQ for late entries like that, some big race or nothing like that, try to make it to the show style deal?
We boxed ourselves in at this point. With the mass amount of entries, we've reached our capacity. So we're going to keep doing some things with drafting. We'll have some guys that will drop off. We'll redraft spots. We have over 500 on a waiting list right now throughout the various classes. And so what it's going to do is it's going to firm up the entry list as, the next couple months go on. And, obviously if we learned anything about 2020, there's no guarantees. So people might need to drop out for whatever reason. They can't get off work. It's, they're sick, Corona, a number of other things. They can't get vacation, whatever the case may be. And we get it. That's the way it is. And these are grassroots guys. They've got 9 to 5 jobs. They might not be able to do it for whatever reason, or they can't afford to go. Well, no problem. If they withdraw, we'll just redraft another guy. But we've got to keep it, in that realm, because if we don't, we're going to have a mess on our hands, and we don't want to be racing for 12 hours, 15 hours a day.
Now, has there been any thought or discussion on, because this is happening, a lot of people are saying this is going to be a wreck fest. They're going to go in there and just destroy everybody, all that. You hear that notion out there, of course, haters. But anyone who's watched the actual racing from back in the day, it got spread out really quick, and it became kind of somewhat single file racing really quick. Are y'all going to strive if the racing kicks off, say, and it does go single file, one lane on the bottom, no one can work. Obviously, you got a new track. You don't even know what grooves you're going to have, to start off. You don't know. Is there talks, or is there even damn time to do something with the track between days to try to get something, that is more than one liner, or are you just going to worry about moisture in the track to kind of handle that?
I think you'll learn watching this event that Mike Van Genderen, when it comes to track prep, is one of the best in the entire nation, and he's going to do whatever is possible to make it the most racy surface he can. Now, if that means that we got to do some track prep for 10, 20 minutes while these cars are going in and out of the turn, the turn one gate, the next 10 heat races, coming off, going on, there'll be track prep going on during that. A good example is Vegas. I mean, that track, it's different. It's the desert, and it goes away real fast throughout the night. So you're maintaining it, and you're watching the surface. And Mike, being a former modified and stock car racer, and he still kind of does every once in a while, he gets it. He knows what he has to do with the track to maintain it throughout the night, throughout the week, in order to make it the best racing surface possible. Also to maintain it if there's too much moisture in it, and what we can do to try and make it as racy as possible. There's going to be a lot of variables, and I'll go back to saying this. Humility is a big, big factor. You're not going to get it right off the bat.
Well, everyone's ready to rip you to pieces too. They're ready. Any little mistake made, there's probably a lot of jealous promoters or upset promoters about this event. They're going to lose their racers for the week. They'll probably end up, deciding to take the weekend off, that are looking at any little thing that's done wrong, and it's going to be scrutinized, I'm sure y'all prepared for that. I was just more so saying, track shape, stuff like that. Obviously, you're saying that's not going to be altered in any way. It is what it is. Once the shape's laid down, you're just going to work with the prep of the dirt to get your grooves in.
I don't think it's going to be as big of a challenge as many people think. You have the best of the best equipment. You're going to have, some of the best materials, some of the best people that have a very vested interest to make that surface really kick ass. And
what dirt is it, by the way? Where's it coming from?
Well, they're still sampling different dirt. So they're looking at the percentage of clay content and a number of different factors, how they lay down, and that's much more scientific than I could ever know. But
it's soil, by the way. It's not dirt. I was actually cussed out about this one time by some geologists. It's soil.
There you go. And so what soil they put down, actually, and they talked about this, and again, I'm not the expert, but the soil that's part of the base layer, and they've talked about treating it and how it can hold more moisture and a number of different factors. And again, I'm no expert, but we can go back and talk to Steve Swift about that, or Mike Van Genderen, or guys that actually know what the hell's going on. But that's what they're talking about. What percentage of moisture does it retain, and a number of other things, and then putting on another layer and how that all works together. And there's a lot of science to that. But they've been working on that for, over the last 8 months, I believe, and they're still testing soil to this day and trying to get that right mix. The contractors that are coming to lay the dirt on the track are the same contractors that laser graded the track in 2006 and 2007 when they reshaped the track. These guys are no stooges. They know what they're doing. They're very high dollar, high demand type, road graders and whatnot. And it's stuff that blows our mind. I mean, this is way past what local dirt track would have. They got, most dirt tracks have a grader that's like an antique that looks like it's from the Smithsonian, right? These guys are going to drive things that are probably, $500,000 graders out there that the graders could pretty much drive themselves.
Oh, what do you mean? Like they have GPS, they got a controller? Or
all that good stuff, all that fun stuff. Yeah, this is some of the craziest stuff that we'll ever see in our lifetime.
Interesting. Well, it seems like you got most of the angles figured out. What are you most worried about with this thing? Like, what is your big worry? Weather, that's it? The typical answer? The typical's promoter answer.
Well, I can't.
Well, COVID. I would assume COVID and our assumed new presidential elect on what the restrictions of society may be would be something that everybody with a business is worried about right now.
Yeah, I think that I look at it from a couple different directions. Obviously it complicates things and it can throw us a curveball, and it will depend on what is the rage at that time. What's going on, what are the restrictions, and a number of other things. And we dealt with that at the Duel and Desert in Vegas and not having fans out there for the very first time in 23 years. Chili Bowl's dealing with that, having to wear face masks and a number of other things. I mean, you have to adjust, and that's all there is to it. There's just nothing more you can do, and that you adjust with the weather. But the weather kicks your ass at the last minute. At least with COVID, we're going to know going into it, these are the restrictions, this is what we can do. Weather, we could get just bitch slapped at the last second, and that's what we get to deal with. That's why weather is always the promoter's worst enemy.
Now, something that is very interesting, say some nightmare scenario happens, with COVID and can't have fans and all that. This is, I think, one of the events that could, still, come out profitable with just online broadcasting, just because it's Bristol on dirt. It's something everyone's going to want to see. I remember I was at the Jefferson Park Speedway, I think it was, where they had that first dirt track back with the sprint cars. And I think the guy there who was running it said they got like 342,000 buys. I mean, you do the math on that. So is that something that's run through your mind too, no matter what, with the COVID situation? This is such a must-see event that it could still suffice and make something with just online broadcasting? Yeah,
I've already had that discussion with Bristol Motor Speedway, and I told them flat out that if we can't have fans, we're moving ahead. And, is it necessarily profitable? I think some of those numbers are a little, out of control.
When I heard 342,000, I was surprised too. But you think of the scenario at that time, there was nothing going on. First race back, it was one of those must-see things. That's honestly, it should be a lot more than that when you compare, to other relevant sports that get millions of pay-per-view buys. So
at the end of the day, if this thing could break even, maybe even lose a little money, I'd be fine. No fans or otherwise. I'd love to have fans. I mean, how excellent would this show be? 50,000 to win super late models on Saturday night. A culmination of a week's worth of racing. Some badass classes that get to have their, just for the Hornet guys and the modified guys and the stock car guys and the sport mod guys. I want them to be able to race in front of fans and a full house if we can get it, of whatever a full house potentially could be at that point. But you have to remember, back in 2000, the year 2000, 45,000 people for the late model race. 45,000 people came to watch the late model race at Bristol. Boy, I mean, if we could get half of that, that'd be the coolest thing since sliced bread.
Well, and it looked almost empty back then, but after they took all the seats away, it probably look decently full now.
I mean, at the end of the day, if we have to run it without fans, it is what it is. It's not the... It sucks. It really does. I don't care financially or otherwise. It does suck. It sucks the life out of it. Yeah, the online thing is cool, and trust me, I've been there, done that. But, you know, we're putting on our promoter hat, and we want it to be an event more so than making money online. And I think that's the most important thing. And if we can continue to build it as an event, then we have more opportunities, and we can keep growing and keep going and doing cool shit as promoters and as an industry. And I think that gets lost on the industry at times. We don't want to be promoters. We don't want to take chances. Well, we need to start doing that again. Like in Earl Baltus, you know,
right,
doing the World 100 and doing the Dream, and Knoxville doing their big things.
Paying 50
like
grand
that.
when he knew NASCAR was paying 47.
Absolutely. Part of being a promoter is taking risks, having the balls to do things that other people won't do. And that's part of the fabric of the dirt track industry. And we have to get back to doing that. They're doing that. You know, Husitz is coming back and all of these other things. I mean, there's going to be opportunity, but as promoters, I mean, you need to put in the jock strap and you need to rock and roll. And we need to do these things that, you know, put, you know, the Chili Bowls on the map and all these other things. We have to get back to doing things like that and creating new events and new opportunities. And I mean, this is potentially a start. You know, hopefully things go decent. Hopefully, we have good racing, and it's you know, above average, and it goes in and NASCAR has their good week, and World of Outlaws has some good races, and it creates opportunities for all of us.
Well, I was going to say, if they're going out and doing all this research to get the right dirt, I'm assuming they're going to buy it and keep it and store it and do this yearly?
That's the hope. That's the hope. But, you know, a lot of those, how this is dictated from a financial standpoint is the key. You know, how we do financially, how they do financially at NASCAR, how the World of Outlaws do. Because at the end of the day, it's a business and it's all bottom line. You know, we can push the passion part of it as much as we want, but you know, if it's a you know, business massacre, it ain't happening again. So, but you know, the reality is that we could do it and we could push through. But at the end of the day, hopefully we can quit pissing and moaning on social media and we can just go do the event and have some fun and maybe enjoy it for what it is instead of complaining about it every day.
Well, I know you're probably dealing with a lot of people, but controversy does sell. You know, the Monday morning quarterbacks in football sells the game on Sunday. You know, so that's a part of racing as well, or sports entertainment. It's a part of sports entertainment.
Absolutely. You know, and having discussion back and forth, but when you're beating the dead horse and you're not, you know, looking past the headline and you're not doing your critical thinking and you're not really, and you're just running your mouth to run your mouth, that's another thing. If you're having a good, thoughtful discussion about safety and a number of other factors, that's another thing, and that's important. But to, you know, piss pound all of this, you know, oh, this is going to be rutted up and this and that, when you don't take 1 second to listen to a podcast, when you don't take 1 second to read an article, it's just ridiculous. You're wasting everybody's time.
True. There is a lot of ignorance out there. Maybe that's partially because how many beer drinkers there are in the dirt world. There's quite a few, you know, maybe.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's
nothing wrong with having a good time. There's nothing wrong with, talking shit and having fun. There just isn't. But it gets to a point where, eventually it's like, guys, enough's enough. We are in this together. As much as some of us don't want to be in it together, we are in this together, and we're here to make it better. And, sometimes you got to put your ego aside, and we do have to work together to make it better. I mean, let's have some opportunities, because as far as I'm concerned, it'd be really kick-ass if we could have a Bristol Dirt Nationals every single year.
Well, you still got me hung up on this other idea you got.
It's coming.
What's this other idea you got?
And when it comes to the super late models too, I'll just give you a little bit of an insight on that. I ain't done on the super late model side. So it's coming. It's coming.
I want to get... Go ahead.
I'm going to give it a couple more weeks. It's just all about timing, and it's all about, when is the right time to get this all out. This thing took the internet by storm. You just had to sneeze Bristol, and you'd get 500 shares out of it. Okay? Let's let it figure itself out, and then we're going to give some depth to it. And then we're really going to back it up. So if I will challenge the super late model names, if you're not on there, you're going to want to be on there. And I'm going to give you a lot of reasons why.
That's money.
I can't speculate right now.
You just told me. You just told me. You're going to give me a lot of reasons why. That's right out of the replay book.
It's go time, boys. That's all I can say.
You need to get on the phone with Forrest Lucas and try to help him move those races is what you need to do. Has there been any contact with them? Has there been any contact with the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series at all?
At the end of the day, they know who I am. They know my phone number. They can get a hold of me right away.
But there's been no contact. You're saying there's nobody's talked to either one?
No. It's not my job to babysit people. And they know they can call us. They can talk. We can talk about it like men. We can work it out, and we can work together.
Would you sanction it?
Absolutely not.
So that's off the table.
I'm not going to sanction any of these races.
Okay. $50 million to win super late model. No. No. Now that would put super late models on the map. Money talks, bro. Money talks. That would put them on the, but that's a little bit higher. You need a real big sponsor to make that happen.
That's a little bit too much out of control. But yeah, it's still got to go back to being good business and making sense and being viable for not only this year, but for following years. Because we're not here to be a one-trick pony. We want it to be viable for the long term. We want to continue to build big events, big races, and go from there.
Well, I think the big deal with dirt racing is we need to increase the relevance of the sport. I'm tired of going and trying to promote the sport, and when you mention dirt tracks, they think you're talking about dirt bikes. And that's 7 out of 10. That's seven out of 20 times you're going to hear somebody know what it is. So I think that's the bigger issue. My only promoter idea I had was X Games. I'd like to see the X Games out on a dirt track. Get some relevance to the sport. Get these cars and stars in front of people's eyes so they're not ghosts. And in the sprint car world, it's unfortunate because you never hear about them until they get killed. Not when they're living, but after they die. So
I think opportunities like Bristol will open some doors.
I hope. I just hope it's not pushed as grassroots racing. I understand your version of grassroots, but I also understand their version too. It's to degrade this sport to a lower form level of talent across the board. It's talent, ability. You got Richard Petty saying dirt racing's not professional motorsports. This is the stigma that is being played. That's my issue with how they do it, and I think to get the people the recognition, the drivers and everybody, they need to be looked at as Batmans and not Robins. That's the deal to me.
Well, I look at it this way. If it has anything to do with being professional, I want nothing to do with it. We're going to wear jeans and a T-shirt every day. We all, we all wake up the same way, all that good stuff. And, boy, that goes back to the Hornets. These guys are no different than anybody else. They're all human beings. So
you're the Bernie Sanders. You're the socialist. No. Okay.
I'm
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'm not going to get into political agendas and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I am gonna fly the flag for grassroots racing and live and die by it. And I mean, who wants to go to a racetrack in a suit anyways? We're not doing that.
I was talking about far as talent, not perception, but damn, that threw me for a loop. You just took professional and destroyed it. The best, damn it. America doesn't like second place. They like number one. They want to see number ones compete. They don't give a damn about, hey, here's the deal. If there's a AAA baseball or basketball game, I don't care about watching that. But if there's NBA or MLB, I might go to that game because that's the best. And that's what I think we need to fix.
How about we make ourselves the MLB?
That's what. Well, NASCAR's probably already done that. They've labeled this AAA.
Well, how about we just prove it to them, and we do it our way, and we do it in jeans and a t-shirt because it's a hell of a lot more enjoyable time than going in a suit. Nothing against people that wear suits, but that ain't happening with this guy.
Well, it's 90% of the world ain't for suits. It's just the ones with the money force you to wear them. I've heard you can't even talk to Eddie Gossage unless you got a suit and tie.
Well, I can dispel that notion, but again, that goes back to we got other things to talk about some other day.
Oh no, that's scary. Well,
Chaz, it's been good. It's been real. It's an hour and a half.
Hey, we could go even longer, but I don't want to waste your time. I'm gonna have to set up a table outside of the gates and have a live shit talking show every day out there. Is what I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do. That's what's gonna have to happen.
Well, I do want to let you know, I know people tab you as controversial, and I know that you push some buttons, but at the end of the day, everything you do is appreciated. And I'm sure that at times you get a little wound up about people that, don't have the same outlook as you do. But again, it comes back to everything you do is appreciated, and you just got to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I just talk. I piss people off because I go after their icons, and their icon shift is kind of why the dirt racer isn't appreciated as much as he should be, in my opinion. But people don't like being woke up, man. They like living in the dream.
Well, guess what? We're going to be pushing them together because at the end of the day, we're here to do what's right by grassroots racing, and if that's pissing a couple people off and running an event on a big major stadium, so be it. They're just going to have to be pissed off, aren't they?
Well, I'll tell you what, every good broadcast needs color commentary. If you need one, let me know.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Hey,
I might have to take you up on that.
I've been trying to tell people they're announcing all this racing all wrong. You got to get more color commentary with it. People always say you're supposed to announce as a neutral party. That's no. Don't announce neutral. No.
We could go into that in another day in the broadcast side and whatnot, but one thing that this industry has lacked big time is entertainment.
Yes.
Because everybody is too busy trying to pander to a sponsor that pays their bills.
Look, this is why I say I wake people up. Who taught them to do that? NASCAR drivers. The icons that they watch on their TV and try to emulate. Who sells a $300,000 midget? It's not Keith Coons. It's Kyle Larson, who used that $300,000 midget to get there. He's selling the midget. The icons sell this perspective you're talking about. You're exactly right.
I think that there's an opportunity, and it's been proven in professional wrestling and otherwise, that there's some room to give us some entertainment in dirt track racing. I see a lot of other broadcast companies trying to be ESPN. That's not our world. We're dirt track racing. We're blue collar people. We're grassroots people. We swear, we cuss, we drink beer, we have fun, and that's what it needs to get to. Enough of this bullshit where we're trying to candy coat stuff. You'll come to learn, just like anybody else with our company, we ain't going to be bought. We're going to do what we're going to do and when we want to do it. And we're going to be respectful of the industry and the other people that are in the industry, but at the end of the day, if it comes to where we got to cross up somebody, we're going to have to do it because it's what's right by the industry.
The one area I think ESPN and them does do things right is they have these debate shows all week long. Like I said, the Monday morning quarterback couch quarterback dude is on there arguing back and forth. They sell that Sunday game. They point out a certain driver and call him out, to perform. And people go and watch to see if he will. It's a reaction style deal. You know what I'm saying? I think that's lacked as well because the media companies, ESPN, isn't cutting their check with the NFL. They contracted the NFL. They could talk all they want. They're contracted to entertainment because entertainment's going to get people to watch them so that they can sell money to the advertisers to get money for their view counts. You know, whereas in the racing world, most of these broadcasting companies and all that are making money directly with the series and the drivers. And you know how all this works. You know, you got the Speedway car cams charging people for a heat race. You know, so if they piss off a driver or piss off a series, all of a sudden they just reject their money. You know, they're making their money from the event promoters, unlike an ESPN. So it's one of those deals where you can't be as, you know, commentative as you may want to because you're trying to keep your lifeline, if that makes sense.
Well, there's a reason that us as broadcasters own the event now.
Hey,
and
hey, I like how this is talking. We may need a Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith every day at 9 a.m. and it could be the Chaz and Hot Carl. I'll even wear a damn suit and yell. I'll even wear a suit. He could come off with his beer. I don't even think he can get up at 9 a.m. He's probably too drunk, alcoholic. But every day.
At the end of the day, we got to get back to entertainment. We got to get back to having big balls and putting on big events and having fun with our sport. That's what's been lost on it. That's what hopefully we're going to be able to get back to. We just don't want to go bankrupt doing it. But it's taken us a little bit to get there. We're financially solvent and to the point where, you know, we can have some fun. And but we've also proven it. We proved it at the Duel in the Desert. We're going to go prove it at the Bristol Dirt Nationals, and we're going to continue to go on after that.
Is Cody Sommer involved at all?
Well, he is not involved. But you know,
That's another innovator, though. That's another innovator.
I've got a lot of respect for what Cody's done. If you want to talk about nutting up, that's the guy. He's done some things, and we respect that. And he's continuing to do things. We need to keep doing more of that.
I just asked that because of the relation. It seems like he got in with Scott. Seems like you somewhat got in with Scott. You sponsored the Racer XR, Race XR sponsored his modified, right? The DeVelbus car.
Yeah, so we brought him in, and again, he's
in a modified at the race too. This one coming.
He's going to run every single night. He's going to run a modified, open modified, and a super late model. He'll run every single night of the Bristol Dirt Nationals. Got to know Scott through DeVilbiss. We brought him out to Vegas. We had some fun, you know, and again, that's good TV. And Scott's a legend. Well, we're there to sell TV. We're there to sell subscriptions. You got to bring the best programming that you can, and Scott is good programming. Not only that, he's a good dude. I mean, at the end of the day, you went and saw, and everybody saw that video of them raffling off that car, and that's who Scott is as a guy. I mean, he's controversial. He'll say what he wants. He'll say what he means, but he's a good dude, and we need more of that. So we've gotten to know each other real well, and we'll do some more things as time goes on. Somebody
just messaged me on my personal messenger. They said, "Don't talk to Hot Carl, race him one-on-one. You're scared." I ain't scared of Hot Carl, bro. Although, hey, that could be some big bets. Hey, best out of 5, bitch. First to 3. How much money you got?
I think we have to have a convergence of the Chaz and Hot Carl and Gage Martinez. And
well, you can't find Gage Martinez. He ain't real. Hell with them Weber Valley people. And you know what? A lot of people are accusing you of running Weber Valley and being Gage Martinez. And they've accused me. These people are psycho. It's 8 people that run Weber Valley. They're all ex-I racers, and they got kicked and banned from iRacing because they were really like twisted, sick stuff they were posting over there. So that's who they are. Yeah.
I'm not talented enough to, and nor do I got enough time to do a bunch of fake shit.
Yeah, I hate it, honestly. I liked how Tyler Erb was being mean to him because it's, in a weird way, it should somewhat be a little sick that a fake racer, Gage Martinez, is more popular than your real Hornet racers that have won the big Screven race and all that. Nobody knows who they are, but they know who Gage Martinez is. That's disgusting to me, personally.
That's disgusting, but it's also disgusting on an indictment of our industry. Guys don't market themselves good enough.
That's true.
Nor are they entertaining enough, and they need to get off their ass and they need to do it.
That's true. It's sad that someone like me, who can just talk crap on here, can walk around and come to PA and be posted next to the World of Outlaws. The Chaz and World of Outlaws were at Lincoln this last Saturday. What the hell is that? You know,
all it takes is a cell phone too.
That really, and you don't even have to show your face. Just look at Gage. Just some funny, stupid posts. The only negative to what they're doing also is they're making fun of the racing world, because there are some real race promoters and people out there that act like them. They're kind of making fun of some realities. It's the sad part as well.
That's their business. That's what they're doing. We don't have a part of it, but I hope the Hornets can make themselves as big of a name as Weber Valley.
Yeah, I saw
at the Bristol Dirt Nationals.
It'll be interesting. The Chaz versus Hot Carl. That is sounding funny.
Are you going to throw the infield tractor tire in there too?
That's Billy Maisel, I believe.
Yeah,
he's got some racing experience, but I ran some races this year. I ran that modified and stuff, so I think I could take them all. I could take them all.
I think it's got to happen.
I think I could take Kyle Larson, put him in the race, put Kyle Larson in there.
Well, Chaz, it's been good talking to you. I do got to. I'm actually going to go post some safety guidelines for the Bristol Dirt Nationals, so make sure to watch for that. Containment seats and your Hans devices and things like that. Again, this isn't some backyard wreck fest. You're going to have some safety gear at the event. We want to point that out because everybody thinks that they can just roll in with their Hornet jalopy. It ain't happening. So be playing by the rules, boys. Make sure to watch Facebook and the website and download your shit, or you're not going to get on the track.
All right, I guess you got to get out of here. I'm going to work on this Matt Trace. I'm going to see if Tom Cruise is interested too, because I have an issue against him. So
we're in the entertainment business. Remember that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He has a big deal about masks. Apparently, you got to wear them. But
there you go, man. All right, you have a good one. Thanks for having me on.
All righty, thanks a lot. Barry Braun, ladies and gentlemen. He is out of the building. So that was very interesting to partake as Barry Braun there with the Bristol Dirt Nationals, promoter of the event. I had a lot of things to say before. I think multiple ways on this event. I got some answers. Who's doing it? Who's putting it on? The battle that's going on here. It isn't just a NASCAR pushed grassroots smear campaign. This event single-handedly, and I don't really like World Racing Group. They just rejected me again. World Racing Group said, fuck you, Chaz, for 2021. Originally, giving me media credentials. Then I post them up in California. They don't like it. They deny them. Oh, you need a website. Build a website. Looks better than their fucking website. Oh, never mind. Deny. We can't support the nature of your content. Then just deny it, no matter what my content is. That's fine. Hate the Chaz. The Chaz hates you too, bitch. And now, I may have a player to pick in this Bristol Dirt Nationals, and it may be Barry Braun's ass. Because it may be under NASCAR banner, but hey, not banner, but in the facility. But as he explained, this is a 3-promoter showdown. World Racing Group versus NASCAR versus Barry Braun with this Bristol Dirt Nationals. And heck, when I was scrolling through the entry list, I ran by about 6 or 7 people that I've already done Slide the Dirt episodes with. Hell, I saw Chase Hatton in there, saw Jason Ingalls in there, and obviously Scott Bloomquist, others in there that I've shared conversations with. So I'm looking forward to this. And the Hot Carl and the Chaz doing a talk show every day, this could be interesting. Me in the booth doing some color commentary, this could be... And honestly, this is something I want to be a part of. I'm going to follow up on Barry. I'm following up on Barry. I want to be involved in this now. Because I want to kick the World Racing Group's ass so bad. And you already know I want to whoop NASCAR's ass so bad as well. There could be some funny color commentary. You know, he hinted towards NASCAR racers going to be in the field. So if I'm doing color commentary and Chase Elliott waltz on out, or Bubba Wallace, Hopefully y'all ain't drinking while you're watching or listening, because I'm going to say some shit so funny you're going to spit it right through your nose. Beer through the nose, or vodka and or screwdriver or orange juice through the nose, spitting out laughing. It burns, bro. It burns. Just saying. Just saying, ladies and gentlemen. But anyways, you can catch not only this episode, but most of the episodes that we've done, pretty much all the episodes that we've done, on all podcasting platforms. You can also catch them on YouTube as well. Malibu Barbie on all, the song Malibu Barbie is on all of the music apps out there available. And then on our website, of course, we have all the Chaz winter gear, all that stuff, longlitheChaz.com. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. That was once again Barry Braun with the Bristol Dirt Nationals. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Share it around, get it out there. I think a lot of people in the dirt racing world needed to hear this, including myself. That's why I wanted to talk to the guy. You know, if you got a problem with somebody, I mean, some people just want to fight them, or you could just go talk to them. We'll catch y'all next time.
Let's go! I don't give a chili bowl coming, chili bowl coming, chili bowl coming. I got that north side, big man. I don't give a. I got that south side, big man. I don't give a. Yeah, the chili bowl is coming, and you see you can't ignore it. Yeah, attention's on the track, cause the action isn't boring. This is actually the best. Not cup breaks that make you snoring. Their best attempt to wake you with a Bubba Wallace story. See, I'm rolling it high, rolling it low, rolling the car, that's where it goes. Go for the pack, give us a last. Go for the pass, and I'm chopping your nose, and I'm chopping it low, and I'm cutting your hopes. I'm going all in for the drill I hold. If you take me out, I'll kick your ass unless you're taller than me, though. But then there are those that don't work on the stuff, only there for fame, not the loyalty or love. Yeah, they put up the cash, better hurry up and make the cut, and that's a short story.